Hey, this is Carrie with Reseller Revenue, and we're going to talk about Coro jewelry today. So lots of us just know the run-of-the-mill Coro brooches that maybe bring $20, $25, but there's some really good ones out there. There's also different lines of Coro. So I'm going to jump right into it, and I'm going to screen share. And this is like the third time I've recorded this, so we're going to really hope that I either get my act together and figure out that, not sure why it wasn't screen sharing before, but it just was not. So here we go. All right, so let me move my box here. This is a great site. It is Costume Jewelry Collectors International.com. I absolutely would bookmark this. It's great for marks. Why do we care about the markings? Because it helps us date our items if we need to know the dates. So these are all for Coro. So and it also will give you cool little information like here's some designers and the dates that they designed them, which also can help you figure out the designer if you already know the date by the mark. So then scroll down here. We're going to go right to the main ones. You know, most of the regular Coro says Coro, or it'll say Coro and have the horse. Some people like to put Coro Pegasus. I do not. I think you either find sellers or collectors that love saying Coro Pegasus, or the ones like me that are like, no, it just means there's a horse on the signature. So you can call it that, but there was no actual Coro line called Coro Pegasus. That was just a marking with it that you can help date your items. Anyway, that's my stance on that. So we have Coro Craft, which just is Coro and then craft underneath. We have Coro Sterling. We have Franco. We have all different kinds of lines. We have Vendome. We have there are a ton. We have Coro right here when Coro was contracted with some silversmiths. We have Coro Mexico. I've only had one of those ever. So there is Coro Mex with sterling some silver. We have Coronation. We have Coro Teens. That sign right there. There's just so many of these. So we're not going to go through all of them. There's just a few I'm going to hit some examples of, and hopefully my screen share works and we will just be able to hit a few of the highlights of things we will find all the time. So the reason that it brought up to me that I should maybe talk about Coro is because some of these that maybe were $20 brooches a couple years ago are now like hitting the $45 range, $40 range, which I get is not big money, but how many of us pay our bills with 20, 30, $40 sales? I do. That's how I pay most of my bills. I'm not paying most of my bills by hitting the heavy hitters. I'm just not. I try to list about 75 bread and butter, and then I try to sell the other 25 with the higher end sales. But it's just how high volume reselling works. So just kind of a little glance here with some of those middle of the road $40 to $100 Coro items. This one's the four-way locket. I think we've all probably had those, and if you're new, look out for the little Coro locket. It opens up. Let me see if it shows a picture of it opened up, and it's exactly what it says. It has a little four-way photo locket. Now, something to be said for that is, are all four-way? It doesn't show it, I don't think. Um, there it is. It opens up four ways. Now, are all four-way lockets Coro? Absolutely not. But this one is, and all the ones I've had that I can attribute to Coro have been marked. I see lots of unsigned Coro four-way mark lockets. Yeah, I don't think so. I think it was just a four-way locket. So let's not spam the name here. So same with these. I see lots of these owls that aren't signed and people try to attribute them to Coro. I only call them Coro if they are marked Coro the owls because there's a whole bunch of knockoffs. So this one, it says it's a jelly belly. It's not. Another one of the controversial things that people love me for is jelly belly means it's a clear belly. It's not solid. Just me. Um, Here's like this one. I don't know that we could have got. I'm not sure what they actually got after the offer. And that Mommy Loves Michaela has an amazing store. She does get good prices. But even at the $60 range, if that was in my store, I'd price it at $50 all day long. So that's probably a little bit more than I would have gotten in the past. So I do think prices are on the way up for Coro. And I just don't want it to be, look, see that one? I've had this one 3, 4, 5 times. I didn't get $60 for it. So just be aware that I think prices are going up for Coro. Keep an eye on the good stuff. All right, let's jump right into, so this is a line that was owned by Coro, and I think it was 1968, two sisters. I think it was Louise and Lynn, or no, Lynn, I keep wanting to call her Louise. Lynn and Marge were sisters that went under the Coro name to do the holiday pins for the most part. They did do some other things, but mostly holiday pins. And that was the Mylo brand. And so we all have seen the Mylo Christmas trees, the Mylo brooches, and some of them are bringing decent money right now. Maybe it's just the time of year, but you can get $40 to $60 a piece for these, some of them even higher. So we've all seen these little Christmas trees. Keep your eyes open. You know, like the one that's the second one for $84, it kind of looks like the Charlie Brown Christmas tree. It's kind of sad, and you might just leave it on the table at the garage sale for 50 cents. But I would not. I would pick it up because now you're going to see it and go, ooh, that's a Mylo Christmas tree. I can get $80 to $100 for it. See, these are all pretty common trees that we can all find. These are at the garage sales. These are at the estate sales. These are in lots. Just know what they are. Keep your eyes open for them and don't underestimate their value when you go to list them. So Jewel Craft was another line. Not a real exciting one. You know, they're about in the $20 to $40 range for the most part. However, there are some of the higher end ones. There was some pewter ones that really did really well and had some different look to them, I guess. But for the most part, not a super high end brand of Coro, but one just to be aware of that it was. This I brought up because of the pearls. So I think a lot of us that sell would call these baby tooth pearls, and I think that's just fine. I call them that too. But just to know that they are a different kind of pearl, and I think you say it Ma Bay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's how you say that. And that's just the shape of the pearl, but people call them baby tooth pearls also because of the shape of the pearl. And that's why I brought that one up, just because I wanted to hit that real quick. So this, we got Vendome. Vendome was also a Coro brand. I love Vendome. Their old glass jewelry and their like watermelon Rivoli and stuff is just gorgeous. Now, anybody that knows me, you know exactly what I would have done with this whole parure. I would have split it apart. I would have had me some earrings for sale, some bracelet, a necklace, but they got $290. Good for them. That's an awesome sale. And it was also a pretty awesome set. So this one I brought up because it was kind of a muted set, right? It's kind of a boring pastel one. I'm not sure if it brought so much because it was a full set, or maybe it is rare. It says it's rare. I don't really know, but I just wanted to show it because this one kind of caught me off guard. And it kind of had those like swirly paint on them, like remind me of a wedding cake bead. So I just wanted to bring that one up because anytime something surprises me, I think it might surprise somebody else too. This one is kind of an understated Vendome brooch, but I do pick up a lot of Vendome brooches whenever I see them because most of them bring decent. And why I mean decent is $30 or over. This one brought $295. I am not exactly sure why, but I wanted to share that. This one, it says that it's Grippoy glass. I don't know. It's another one of those controversial things that people like to tell me I'm wrong about. But Grippoy was usually only made by used by Chanel, Dior, really higher end names. I don't know if Vendome would have actually, because Grippoy is a name brand. It is not a process. So lots of people use the Grippoy to show things that were the poured glass, but Grippoy is actually a brand name. So anyway, it was a factory, I believe, name. Anyway, beautiful set no matter what. I did not look to see what their offers are because I'm just never going to be the kind of YouTuber that's like, ding, and there's the price, and ding, there's your it's not really in my wheelhouse. So, but I do like to research and share research on jewelry. So either way, I bet it brought a pretty strong price. This is another really good brooch for Vendome. It's the triple flower brooch. So whenever I see the 3-flower brooch and it says Vendome, I would pick it up. This is the back. I don't ever attribute things to like unsigned Vendome. I've seen things that I do think were unsigned Vendome, but I do believe people go down that rabbit hole way too much trying to attribute things to makers when it really just doesn't matter, because if it's not signed and you're not really sure, you cannot say, oh, for sure, I think this is it. Because so many of the makers, especially in the height of the costume jewelry times, like in the 60s and stuff, the stuff looks a lot alike. And they were taking each other's ideas and they were making things that look the same. So I never spend a lot of time trying to research a maker unless I think it's something like Shriner. Ooh, there's some free hair for you. Unless it's something like Shriner or Juliana or something. And I don't really even spend a lot of time on that because the collector's market will tell you. So they will tell you if it's worth that or not. This set I've seen several times. It does always bring good money. So this is a set to watch out for. This set was a mirrored like Aurora Borealis or AB. Very pretty. The Vendome AB sets I've seen are just super reflective and they are very impressive. So that was a nice auction at $252. I bring this one up not because it was super impressive, but always call this one the anemone brooch. I don't know if that was like its official name or not, but it's a point for people looking for it. But the main reason I bring this up is because see those caps, those little rhinestone caps on the end of those beads? That is really something that Vendome did a lot. So you'll see necklaces and bracelets with those little rhinestones capped on the ends of the beads. Does that mean it's always Vendome? Absolutely not. But if you have to have like a mad dash for stuff on a table at an estate sale and you see a bunch of capped rhinestone beads, maybe that's one you grab because it may be Vendome. Just something to kind of watch for. This one is a Vendome Easter egg brooch. We tend to use that word mostly with Juliana, but it's just referring to the types of stones. So you have kind of those mottled egg looks. We call those Easter egg stones. And then we have this elephant brooch. I see this knocked off a lot. I see people say, oh, unsigned Vendome elephant, or I see this in lots of different brands and people will try to say unsigned Hattie, unsigned whatever. And you know what? If it's unsigned, you know what it is to me? It's an unsigned brooch and I don't really worry about it too much. So all the Vendome ones I've seen have been signed. So, and all the Vendome, I will say the Vendome sets that I've had, the earrings and the necklace were signed. Does that mean it's always the case? No, but the ones I've all had, both the earrings and the necklace were signed. So this is really cool. It had the original tag on it. It sold for $150. It was in light new condition, which I'm sure helped. There's the box that came in. Super cool when you have the original boxes and stuff like that. So here's some Franco. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I think I am. I've run across quite a few of these. I don't think it's wrong using where it says Franco by Coro. I don't think that's wrong to do, but maybe note that, make sure you note that line in there. I would not personally use the little, any kind of punctuation in the title on eBay. It screws with the search sometimes, but they got a good price and that's awesome. So not a super high end line, but worth looking at if you find it. Like I've seen this in Franco a lot, that cameo type style and that ribbon. So just something to note. Okay, so I'm going to stop my sharing and then I'm going to go to a different screen here because now we're going to talk about the duets and the higher end pieces. See what we can find out here, and the sterling pieces. So, all right. Some of these, I wanted to share this, not real exciting, right? However, this is just a Coro duet frame. You can sell the frames, especially if it's one of the more unique ones here. You can sell those. That went for $46 on auction. So if I find just the frame in the bottom of the junk box or something, I absolutely sell them. So don't be afraid to sell those frames. Look, 45 bucks. Absolutely sell them. Just wanted to add that in there. So these are really cool. I found these a couple times. These are sterling Jelly Belly. These are true Jelly Bellies. They're called Twinkling Twins, and they were different bugs of the Twinkling Twins. And these had a little bit of damage, but aren't they neat? And they're probably hard to find still in a pair. So this lady did a very nice job of pointing out all the different things that were wrong with it and that they are sterling. Here's a very nice set that was Coro. Is pretty unique. This, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but he was a designer for Coro, which I know, and that probably maybe helps direct people that maybe they only collect the stuff that designer made for Coro. Here it is signed, I believe, on all pieces. It's got the Greek key chain to it. Look at those colors. Just amazing colors. And this also goes to show that this person is probably just selling her own jewelry, or maybe she is a seller, but you don't have to have super high end equipment and stuff, or super high area to take your jewelry in. Just if you have really great jewelry, put it on a table, take good pictures with good lighting, and people will pay good money for it. So, I mean, I think if you're gonna do this full time, a light box is amazing, but if you don't have a light box, don't let it hold you back. So here's another one that I see knocked off a lot. This green lucite, which I don't know that I would call that lucite, but anyway, people might leave this behind because, well, this is a tance or two. Like, most of those aren't worth a whole bunch of money, but this one is, right? And if you see it like this and it doesn't have any signature on it, it's probably a knockoff or by a different designer. It's my opinion. I think the ones I've seen that were high end like this were signed. This is a well-known harp. So this is a book piece by Coro. Very cool. Also sterling, or a lyre, I think they call that. See if they show it in the book. If you have a book piece like this, it's always handy to show a reference. There it is. There's sterling, Coro Craft sterling with the Pegasus mark. Also, might tell us where it was in the book or not. Nope, it doesn't. But if they also refer to this as the Carnegie Hall brooch for Coro. They didn't reference that in the title, but that is a good way to get the collectors to find it. I don't know the history behind that, but I just know I've always known that as the Carnegie Hall brooch. This was a lily of the valley, Coro lily. Very nice enameling on this. The pearls aren't peeling. Again, not a fancy light setup, right? But they took nice pictures of the product and it was a very good item. And so it went on auction and brought $283.80. So just don't let it hold you back. I'm not sure if I'm taking a picture on my leg. Nobody wants to see it on my leg for one, but it's sold item. That's what we're all here to do. So I do not know. Like I said, I'm not I'm not sure what this brought, but wow. And you guys know what I would have done with this one too. I would have had me a necklace, and I probably would have put the bracelet and the earrings together for all fairness. But I split this up. But I imagine they got a nice price. That is an amazing set. Amazing. And they use the correct good keywords. There's the signature on that. Really good condition too. Lots of times those get kind of beat up or they lose stones. This is a Coro. Geisman was a designer for Coro. You could also kind of date this, right? Because if you knew that he was the designer on this, then you knew it could only be within a certain amount of years, right? So there's the back. It's definitely got a pot metal look to it, which would make sense because if it's in the 40s, that's when we saw a lot of pot metal brooches because of the war. Very nice piece. It had a movable head. What do we call things that have movable parts like that? I would have probably called that a trembler. Other people may argue because it was a head and not like a flower or something, but I think it counts as a trembler because his little head trembled. So how cool is that? $221 for that. That's kind of cool. This set here, not a real notable set all pieced apart, but this is a very cool necklace. And if you were a Coro collector, I could see this, that you'd want this in your collection. So it was also in very nice condition. And there is the Coro Craft signature at the bottom. I bet they probably got over $200. I'm may or may not have split this apart. Yeah, you guys know I would have. Yeah, I would have split it apart. This I saw sell several times. It was over $600. It's the Figural Castle by Adolf Kotz, and you will see him in designing lots of iconic pieces of Coro. Amazing. Look at that. There's the back. Very good price at $639.99. Trying to remember to say those prices out loud because I do want people to be able to just listen to this. Here is a ruby red, which you guys know I would not use that in the title because we cannot say ruby if they're not rubies. But anyway, I know people probably hate my soapbox. It's rhodium plated, stunning brooch, $599.95. Look at that, showing off their tail feathers. Let me see if I can. There's that just a basic Coro signature, right? And that's an early Coro signature. It's attributed to 1941, probably so. Oh, look, we do know that. You know how we know that? If you've never looked up the patent site where we can look up jewelry patents, right? So if you have the patent number on your item, you can go to the patent site and look it up, and it shows you the designer. So instead of, when everybody wants to say, oh, it's an Alfred Felipe, they have no idea. I know when I say mine is one because I went and looked up the patent number and I know that he designed it. So there it shows, and it shows the date. So way to do your research, Florida's ultimate treasures. Here's a very nice Coro enamel flower brooch. I could see how we could miss this, or how I would have missed this. Would you have known that this was a $466 item? Maybe not. That is an earlier mark. beautiful condition. I don't know. I'm thinking that one would have got left on the table, or maybe I would have just thought it was worth, 40, $50, but it was worth $466. Here is a gorgeous, I've never seen one of these in person, but wow. They attribute this to Adolf Kotz. I'm not really sure, but very well might be. Look at those petals. If they're like me, it's hard to take a good picture of rhinestones sometimes that are really shiny because they want to glare, but beautifully well-constructed brooch, $350 on that one. Here we're getting into a duet. I meant to save those for all at once, but these I could call Jelly Bellies because they are clear. So I would have absolutely said Jelly Belly in this title. And it is sterling. It was on auction for $393.80. Very nice duet. What makes it a duet? It makes it a duet because there's two pieces that go together on a frame. So this frame, see how it's almost like a figure 8 frame? There's different kinds of frames that were used. It'll usually say Coro Duet in the middle, but if it doesn't, and there's a patent number, you can look to see if that patent number, usually it's like on the end, or sometimes it's on the bottom of the item, then that's when you can go to those patent sites and you can look it up to see who made them and when, and you'll know if it was a real Coro or not. Because not all things that have a frame that hold two fur clips together are duets. Some of them could be a Trifari. Trifari had the what were those called? Paper mates, I think, were the Trifari ones that went together like that. And there was other brands that made them. So it's not all duets. These, I've had these lots of times. The little swallows, it depends on the color of the rhinestones, and some of them go together. Some of them you'll find singly. Some of them are in brooch form, but the swallows were very common in the Trifari. And these also had the matching earrings. So like I said, I didn't look to see what they got on their offer, but this was a very nice set. Here is a Coro Craft, which I think that's spelled, I don't know. Shelf brooch. Look at that with the little design. Look at that. The little things on the shelf. I would have zoomed way in on that. The little things on the little shelf sitters. Very cool. $463. Cool. This totally reminded me of the like gave me a little Love Shack vibes or something. I don't know. Probably wasn't meant to, but it looked like that like man-eating plant thing. Anyway, it's not. It's a thistle, but very neat. I don't think I've seen this one. This one was even broke. I've seen some amazing things come from this store, the National Rarities store, eBay store. They have some very nice pieces. And there, you could go look up that Coro signature and tell about when that was. And then if you had the patent number, then you could go look it up further. But it definitely would be from the early 40s. The pins broke off. So what? We still want to pay $459 for it. So here's a Coro Craft piece. I'm not going to try to pronounce this nice maker's name. I do know that it's a Coro maker. And look, we only get 2 pictures, and it still was worth $481. I don't even see the signature, but oh yeah, see, I bet it's on the tail. Yep, see how light that is? Some of those just wear right off, but you got to know to look for them. There's a Coro Craft ballerina. I have ran across these, and we see dancer brooches all the time, don't we? And if this was missing stones, I'd still pick it up, right? $485. This one wasn't, I don't think, missing stones, but there's where it says Coro Craft. Very nice ballerina brooch, but we see these, and sometimes they just get dumped in lots. I've absolutely bought ballerina lots that have had one of these in it. So know what they look like, know what makes them look different from the other ones, and know where the signature is going to be. Okay, so now we're going to get, I might skip that because I have a whole Coro duet thing. So this one we saw earlier with the Coro turtles, I think, the Jelly Bellies. This one's absolutely a Jelly Belly pair, nice clear lucite. And this one is a really nice shape. The metal's in good shape. It ended at $606.57. Amazing. I don't know that I use OMG in my title, but maybe it worked for them because they got some good money, but it also was sterling silver. This one, kind of a busy background here, but there's the stones. We're missing a few. No big deal. It's a pretty rare piece, I think. It's got the peacocks. There's where they go together. Sterling silver. There's the signature. 390 was pretty good. This one's a more ordinary dress clip, but you want to know, or I don't know if this one's a fur clip or dress clip. So this one is a duo dress clip, not a fur clip. So the difference is the ones we'd seen before had the big pointies on them. Those are for furs because they had to puncture the fur to get on the items. So those are fur clips. This is just a dress clip, which is fine. It's a classic duet. And see how this would clamp over your dress so that it didn't make a hole in it. So that's why it's a dress clip, and then it's held together with the frame. $350 is pretty good on that. Here is some birds, which, I think we see these all the time. See, unsigned Coro duet piece or unsigned Coro dress clip. Yeah, I don't know. I think the ones that say Coro on them are the Coro dress clips or Coro fur clips. That's just my opinion. Do I think there might be some signed one, unsigned ones out there? Maybe, but you won't see me putting them as unsigned Coro if they're not signed Coro because I've seen lots of them were. So that's just kind of what I go by. And this one is sterling, also a very nice set at $400. These are awesome. You see so many of the horse ones that say unsigned Coro too. I don't know. There's probably some out there, but there's lots of them that say Coro on them too. This was a very beautiful set, and it's got the horse neck to neck. It's got wear on it. That's okay. When it's rare enough, it can have some wear on it, and it's just fine. Let's see the back of that. Yeah, there's the frame, and these were fur clips. So see the little pointies there, as opposed to the flat clip. That goes for anything, any of the fur clips versus dress clips. So this is a whole line, so I wanted to give it its own space. Quivering Chameleas. If you get one of these, please put Quivering Camellia in the title. What makes them a quivering camellia is the flower. See how they all kind of have that same shape to the flower? That's the camellia part. But the quivering part here is the part that is like a trembler. So like this on the brooch, it kind of has a spring. So it moves back and forth a little bit if you touch it. And that's the quivering part. Sometimes you'll only find half of these. They still bring good money. I have sold half of one quivering camellia for $400 and it was missing stones. Do not be afraid to pick up the pieces or if it's missing stones. So there's the frame on that holds that together. If you ever find just this frame, it's worth money, right? Because there's people out there that have both the pieces, but they have no frame to hold theirs together, and they will buy yours. There's the two pieces. So yes, I've absolutely found one piece or the other. That brought $531.52. Pretty good. They come in different colors here. You could you could take a bunch of time and look up to see what dates they were patented, when they were available. But if they are in the Quivering Chameleas, all you really have to do is to know to title it as such. And you can also use the word trembler because technically it's a trembler. This one had some issues. That's no big deal. Like I said, it'll bring a little bit less money, but we have 185 clear up to the 531. I think some of these at the bottom probably unfortunately could have brought more money if they hadn't gone on auction. I will sit on these a little bit if I get them because I will absolutely, like this, absolutely could have brought in the $500 or $600 range if they knew what they had. Auctions, we're just leaving it up to the mood of the buyer, and I don't really like to deal with the moodiness, so I want to put it up for buy it now and just ask what I know it's worth, and then I'll decide on my mood if I want to take an offer or not. Look at that. That one's beautiful. Beautiful. And for whatever reason, it just didn't bring the money on the auction. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Yep, all the pieces are there. So, know what you have. This one, again, not a real high-end picture. However, it's a very nice item. So, if you have it, they will come. This brought $964, and we have it laying on a blanket, on a bed or a couch or something, and it still had no problem bringing the correct price. That's pretty nice. I've never seen this one in person. I think actually, which I realize I see things oddly sometimes, I think these are like swans. Am I wrong? I see two swans like, giving each other a little peck, like a male swan and a female swan, or a peacock, or I think it's a swan. I'm not really sure. Sometimes don't see things quite right. Like those ink water things, that would be no good. They'd be like, whoa, what's wrong with you? So anyway, here it is. Really nice for that kind of money, guys. $964. So If you have the good product, you can get the good price. This is absolutely, I would call this a chatelaine. I love the real elaborate chatelaines. Love them, love them. If you even find one piece of this, you can also sell this separate. Very nice condition. I've never had this one in person, but you better believe I'm going to know it if I see it. Look at that. So cool. They use very good words in their title. The Bleeding Heart Chatelaine. This one went to authenticity. I also have the unpopular opinion of it's not value based for eBay authenticity in jewelry. It is not for costume jewelry. I have sold $1,500 pieces that did not go to authenticity. I've sold $450 items that did. So I can't tell you how that works. I would love to get eBay's opinion on that, or not opinion, but tell us how it really is, because it is not dollar based. This is a Royal Oaks duet, a very good example of if you know the line that your item comes from, and that doesn't mean because ChatGPT told you or because your AI tool told you, because it lies. My ChatGPT is a liar, and I've given it all the great prompts, and sometimes it just makes crap up. And I'm not gonna like have an INAD because it made something up. So we have to know these things. Cross-reference your AI. Make sure that other AIs agree, or that you can find it for sure in a book reference or on a site that is reputable. Because like I said, mine is a liar. It makes crap up, probably just to see me get in trouble. So this one is the Royal Oaks duet. They are separable. They bought $907. And y'all know how I feel about the fake hand, but it's okay. It's okay, because like you can sell some for $1,000, the fake hand. Who am I to say anything? Very nice. Here's like a chariot. They titled it well. I would have used chariot, Roman, Vermeil and sterling, Coro Craft, all the right things. $450 for that little pin there. See all the structural pieces to it. Let's see. This is the patent for it, so they can absolutely say it's from 1944 because there is the patent for it, right? So if you look it up and you know that it's from 1944 because the patents told you so, then that gives you a little bit of nuance when we can say, hey, look, here is the patent. And here's who made it. The Cots made it. And this is when it was, September 25th, 1945. Makes people trust you because you did your homework. So on really high-end things, if that homework and that research and that rabbit hole is going to pay off like that, then I think we should do it. Do I think we should spend half an hour trying to figure out who made a $30 unsigned brooch? I don't. This one was signed and it is iconic, so we should maybe put in a little bit extra time. Here is a cool, I don't know if it's a bird of paradise or a peacock, whatever it is, it's pretty neat. It's blue to boot, so everybody loves that blue. And it brought $495 with 35 bids. I have not seen that one in person. Very nice. Let's see if there's the back. Oh, look at that back. And there's Coro Craft sterling mark. This one is also knocked off a lot. I see lots of people have if you got a gazelle and it's standing on something, people want to say it is Coro Craft. It is not always Coro Craft. There's the back. This one is in such beautiful condition. I don't love gloves and pictures either, but you know what? I'm not selling $750 brooch like this, so they can wear whatever they want. I think this is a gazelle actually, but whatever kind of animal it is cool. I have not seen one of these in person either. This one is in beautiful condition. Good for them on their $750 sale. This is a spider. We all know everybody's loving the bug pieces, So if you got bug brooches, you put them up, especially if they're sterling. This one is actually a jelly belly. It's nice and clear. There's the markings, and that is one of the older Coro marks, and it probably is from the 40s. Maybe they even looked it up. Yep, there it is. There it is in the book. So this one is from the American Costume Jewelry Volume 2. I absolutely love this. I like it when they put their piece in next to the book piece. I think it kind of gives you some, it kind of puts a little bit of knowledge behind you that you know what you're talking about and that you're not just saying, oh, it's a book piece. There's lots of people that like to put it's a book piece because somebody else on eBay said it was a book piece and then somebody else said there was, and it's maybe because their ChatGPT was feeling frisky and lying to them said it. So we don't want that. Make sure you do your own research. So there it is, $499 for that one. Very good. Love it. Here's another heavy hitter here. I've never had this. I would called it a toucan. Also, I would have used in the title, And obviously saying a parrot was just fine because they got $910 for this. And I don't know if that was its original box. That's a really nice touch having that box in the background. Good job. Love it. I don't know if the box came with it or not, but I really like that they had that. I like grabbing those presentation boxes when I can. Also, on a side note, celluloid presentation boxes right now are doing really well. Sell them by themselves if you have celluloid presentation boxes laying around. There's a very nice, clear picture of that. Love that. $910. I have not sold a $910 brooch. Close. Not quite. Two pictures here, guys. We got two pictures. And it is all you needed, I guess. There it says Coro Sterling, and it was a flamenco style mother and son brooch, $785. They obviously knew what they had. I think that one I might have missed. I'm not sure that I would have seen that on a table and been like, oh, I better swipe that up. That's an $800 brooch. I will now, but I don't know that I knew that before. And I think that is all I had on that. So I just want to show you guys these things because this is how I research. People want to know, how do you know that? And lots of times I'm just like, I don't know, I just know. Well, that's not really true. I don't just know. I didn't know anything about jewelry till 2022. I was a newbie. Lucky for me, I probably would have quit, but lucky for me, Lynn from Finds of Yesterday held my little hand and she answered my stupid questions that I had because I didn't know anything. And I went through all the stages that you guys will go through, like, oh, that's Sarah Coventry. That's great. I'm gonna list all of it, right? Or I went through all the progression of learning those different things and what now maybe I put in a lot, maybe isn't worth listing. It's, I went through the stage where I list all the rhinestones. If it's got a rhinestone, I'm listing it. No, I'm not doing that anymore. That's not what I'm about. And it's okay that you go through those stages because that's how we learn. So I do this research every day. I pick a maker. I pick a type of jewelry. I research high to lows. I research what's selling right now. I research what are the trends. You start realizing what's the trends, right? This is how we get better. The more knowledge you have, the better you'll get. Apparently my lip gloss wore off because now I look like one of those dying Victorian people again. Anyway, I appreciate that you guys pay attention to me. And well, maybe you don't pay attention to me, but I appreciate that you watch. And maybe send me a little comment. Tell me which one you like the most, which one surprised you the most. Tell me what's the best Coro piece you've had. And you can always send me a message or put on the Reseller Revenue Facebook. You can always drop a piece like, hey, what do you think about this piece? Or, hey, I sold this piece. Let's celebrate together. That's awesome. The Reseller Revenue Facebook page is always, the public page is always open for you to drop those things on. If you want to join our weekly jewelry call that we have with Reseller Revenue, go to the Reseller Revenue Patreon. When you join, you also get to see all the calls we've done before, not just in jewelry, but our daily call that we have Monday through Thursday live. So I super appreciate it. Hit that hype button if you see it by my name. Comment. It really helps the channel. You guys have been doing a great job of interacting more. I love it. Let me know if there's a certain brand that you want to see next. I know I'm going to do like the lines of Sarah Coventry so that we can name them appropriately. And I'll probably do a lines of Avon too. Maybe not huge sellers, but some of them are. So stay tuned. Thank you so much.